Welcome to the AACFB's 2023 Meet the Funder webinar series. My name is Monica Harper. I'm the Executive Director of the AACFB, and I will be your host. Our presenter today is John Boddigheimer from Center for Our Funding. 4-Hour Funding is both a funding source member and a gold sponsor of the AACFB, and I'd like to thank them for their support of the association. Before I introduce John, I'd like to go over a few things to make the webinar more enjoyable and informative for everyone. During the presentation, you should see a Q&A box that allows you to ask questions. If you have any questions during the presentation, please submit your questions in the box and they will be answered by the end of the webinar. Please reserve the chat box for communication between attendees. The entire webinar should take no more than 30 to 45 minutes. And for those of you who would like to review this webinar at a later date, it will be posted on the 2023 Meet the Funder page of the website, and it will be emailed out to the membership. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to John. It is all yours.
Okay, thank you, Monica, and good afternoon to everybody out there from sunny Texas. I'm John Boddigheimer, Center for Our Funding, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about our program, how we operate, and hopefully those of you who aren't working with us will get on with us, and those of you who do work with us, hopefully you'll learn a little bit more about our program. First off, 4-Hour Funding, we're headquarters in Plano, Texas. We've been around since 2008. Actually, the employee number, I think, is off by one now, so it's now 61. Just added a new person this week. We are a direct funder. We offer specifically only EFA products, and our deal size is technically $5,000 to $250,000. However, our app-only range is $5,000 to $200,000. And you will see that we are members of AACFB, ELFA, as well as NEFA. However, if you ask me, and I'm not saying this just because Monica's right here, my favorite organization of those is the AACFB, and it's very dear to my heart because we've been members through even other. My association with them has been going on almost for, I'd say, 30 years. First off, why choose 4-Hour Funding? We are a full spectrum lender. A to C credits. Now, let me explain what that is. That means we work very capably from A credits. We offer rates from 8% all the way on up to 29 yield. So from 8 to 29 is our spectrum that we tend to work. We work down to a solid C. We go down to about a 590 credit bureau. So you will find that we're a great Swiss Army knife type of product for brokers out there, in that we can handle startups, we can handle high risk credits, we can handle your mid-range credits as well as your A credits. We have a very nice high commission type program. One thing we do offer also is a monthly bonus program to our customers who are very frequent users of our system. We have a very centric focus. Unlike a lot of firms, we do send our broker representatives out in the field. They do meet people. They are constantly on the road. And you will find that at almost every association event, you will find a Center for our Funding representative there. In terms of the other unique thing about us is we have this, and I think it's a dying feature for most funders. You can actually talk to a credit analyst here. That is extremely hard in today's world. But you will find that sending an email to a credit person pointing out, hey, I know you're working on this transaction. Did you know this customer may own their business property? Little facts like that can help get your transaction approved. And we do allow that type of conversation. We have, I believe, really one of the best new business programs in the industry, with some of the lowest rates, some of the highest max amounts in the industry for new businesses. And like I said, there is a great process for you through your rep or talking directly to a credit decisioner to be able to talk to somebody about a special situation on your transactions. Our basic programs are what you see right here. We have the new business program. Like I said, it's absolutely one of the best in the industry. You will find that for hard collateral, we can even do up to $75,000 for startups. Very unusual. We even have some of our better credit tiers. You can get down into some of our lower credit tiers, even though you're a new business, if you're working with good, strong collateral. We have a 72-month financing program, and that works for your larger transactions over 50,000. We have a 90-day deferral program. We even have a 6-month step-up type program. And this is actually one of my favorite. It's not used a lot, but it's a very simple program. Customer starts his contract with 2% of equipment costs. He pays basically a 40% payment for the next 5 months. So he'll pay roughly 1% for the next 5 months, and then he goes his full payment stream at his full payment value. The benefit of that is it's very easy to quote people. As you know, it's very easy. It's 2% to start the contract, 1% for the next 5 months, and boom, you've got 6 months with a very nice step up for the customer. We also have a app only to 100 to 200K program. We do franchises also within this program. So if you are somebody who does look at franchises, that is something that's not on this sheet of our programs, but you will find we do exceedingly well. In my lifetime, I don't know how many franchises I've done, but it's probably over around 4,000 different franchise opportunities that we have funded. And in terms of just to break that out, because some people do have good franchise opportunities, we have a very simple formula for considering franchises. We like to see that you at least have 50 franchise locations open. We like to see that you have a good track record on a 3-year and a 1-year basis, meaning you don't have that many stores that are closing. And then finally, that the franchisor is strong enough to support the franchise. If they fit those 3 metrics, you're going to find that we will be interested in them. And when we do franchises, we will do startups even in the mid 150s, 200,000. We will consider those type transactions. We also have, in addition to that, our Thin to Win program. We have a program that's based on all your transactions to where you can always thin down the amount of points you're doing. And as a result, we'll actually reduce our rate a little bit, which makes it a much more attractive final proposal for your customer to win that tough customer. We have a no prepayment penalty payoff contract. The nice thing about this type of contract is we've all seen in the day where we're seeing more and more disclosures on rates, sometimes it's hard to get over those customers when they have to swallow what they believe is a higher rate than what they think they deserve. Well, one way around that is to offer them a no prepayment penalty contract. This is a special contract. You have to request it at documentation time. But the nice thing about this is it does leave them the ability to get a no prepayment penalty payoff after 18 months. We also have a medical and dental program. Nice thing is new doctors, new dentists, you can get 150,000, and we treat your time in business just like your medical license. So if your medical license is 2 years old, boom, you're a 2-year-old transaction. All right, recent updates for our funding. Of course, we have recently improved and made some adjustments to our new business program. We've made some adjustments to our laser and light therapy program. We do still consider, a lot of funders have done some redlining in the medical laser business. We are still doing those. Medical dental program, title vehicle program, and those various programs, we've made changes. If you haven't worked with us in the last year, you will see some definite changes in those programs. And I think you'll find we're more competitive. In terms of vendor and equipment requirements, we do view the vendor as a very important component of the transaction. You will find we look at your vendors very closely, and we do look at our basic requirements for pre-funding. People do always ask this, is going to be, is your vendor at least out there for the last 18 months for pre-funding? We do like to see that they have what we call a necessary footprint, and that is that we can see website, we can see reviews, we can see all the normal things you would see with a business that's been operating for a while. In terms of the way you can track a transaction as it flows through our system, We are unique. We were one of the first people, of course, to embrace the electronic transactions process that's out there. I think we were one of the earliest adherents to DocuSign. We were also one of the first people to have a mobile application for brokers. If you're a broker with us, you can see everything going on in your transaction. You can see how many deals you've got approved, all the basic data, but some other things that you may not find in everybody else's app. In fact, in our app, you can even see who's working on your app. You can see what credit analyst has picked it up. We're like a lot of shops in that we may have 8 or 9 different credit people who may be decisioning your transaction. Well, you can look on and see, oh, Frank's doing this transaction. Let me give him a call. I want to remind him about this. That is one area when we talked previously about us being a very open architecture for you guys to be able to contact. This is a good demonstration of how that's done. The other nice thing is, as mentioned earlier, we do every document DocuSign. In fact, I think we're the only mainline lender out there who has never done a physical set of documents. And realize this, we started in 2008. So that's quite an accomplishment. With our app, you can actually go in there and you can actually see the document status. You can see if your customer's opened up the electronic envelope. You can actually see if you signed it. You can see if somebody hasn't signed it. None of this where you have to call up the funder and say, hey, did this guy sign the document? You can see it yourself. You can also, through our app, send quotes to your customer. You can see credit decision times. You can even see how busy our shop is at that time. We do have metrics on there so you can see how long it's taking us to push transactions to go to the next stage. Here's some nice screenshots of what our app tends to look like. I want to tell everybody, if you see the little code there on your right there, you can go ahead and take a picture of that, and we'll tell you how to download Hourglass, which is the name of the app. How does our process work? Real simple. We do require everybody to submit things online. That's because when you go through our online process, we make sure we have all the necessary information to start the investigation of the customer. It takes about 2 hours to travel through our credit approval process. If you have everything ready and you get a credit approval at that point, and you have your invoice ready, we do have people that can complete a transaction that same day, no problem. Okay, you will request documents and e-signatures. We'll show you in a little bit how to request documents. Funding, this is where we're quite unique. Unlike everybody else, we work a little different. And that is that everybody else tends to give you approvals. Sometimes they have conditions. Everybody sends out documents. You send documents in, then everybody fights about the conditions for the next week. We try to avoid that process because it creates too much of a delay from the time the customer signs to when the customer gets funded, and you have breakage. The way our process works is you clear everything before docs go out. And the great thing about it is when docs go out in our system, you have about a 90% chance that your transaction will close. That is about our closure ratio within, I think it's 89.8%. So the beautiful thing is your customers know as soon as they sign that electronic document, there's nothing stopping it. It is going to fund. And the value of that is a higher closure rate. I think without doing that process, your closure rate drops about 10 to 15%. Okay, so, and here's the other unique thing about it. We have transactions come in our office. They're signed electronically. They hit our funding clerk at 4:15 and they get funded that day. How many people can say that? And ask yourself, does your funder do that? This is the type of service that your vendors sit up and take notice on. All right, what are our basic requirements? Number one, of course, we have a new business process, but our basic requirements for existing businesses, we look for a minimum 590 credit score. Okay, that doesn't mean if you have a 590 credit score, you can get $200,000. Okay, obviously that wouldn't be smart, but we do have customers and we do buy down consistently to that level. We buy down to $5,000 and up to app only $200,000 And with a little additional information, we will go up to 250,000. We offer 24 to 72 month terms. Bank statements are actually now required over 75,000. This is a little bit of a typo on here. That was changed January 1. Geographical limits, we'll go over those in a second, but you will find it's pretty much all the normal states. Everybody understands that there are issues in. Site inspections are required on transactions above 75,000. And for partial restrictions, we do have some beauty salons, fitness clubs, and tanning industries. We do those, but we require that you have to be at least 3 years time in business. They are not eligible for our new business program. Okay, in terms of the industry we try to stay away from, they're all the normal cast and characters everybody's seen before. Adult entertainment, marijuana, gaming, logging, movie production, real estate, trucking, vending industries, etc. One nice thing about us is while we don't do trucking, we do a tremendous amount of title vehicles. We will do title vehicles for non-trucking companies. But I have to tell people, sometimes people, when they first get on with us, they send us short haulers. We don't do short haulers or long haulers. If you're in the general logistics business, if you ship goods for somebody else, we don't work that customer. However, if you're hauling a specialized product like hay or you haul gravel, that's a totally different matter. We do those. One other thing, we do get this question all the time. We do not do sale leasebacks, and we don't do private party sales with the exception of title vehicles. Our problem with private party sales are they're quite, let's put it this way, the deal structures can be very crazy at times. And a lot of times it's very hard to determine correct values on the equipment. And so we try to stay away from those. And the other thing is provenance. We can't verify whether or not the person selling it really owns the equipment, or if he somehow, maybe it was stolen, maybe it was sold out of trust, or what have you. So at least with title vehicles, we can do that. So we will do title vehicles as a private party sale. Okay, here is just a list of some of the industries and equipment we don't do. And again, I think the important ones for people to realize is, of course, trucking, logistics. Tow trucks we see sometimes and have to remind people. Really, other than that, copiers, you know, there are so many very, very competitive programs in the copier business. We stay away from that business due to adverse selection. All right, we have some partially restricted industries as well as equipment. Alarm monitoring, computers. We have to have only new computer equipment. Believe it or not, we do drones, but we will go up to a max $25,000 for drones, but we do a couple of drone deals, I think, every month. So it's not a bad market. We will not do store fixtures. Now, in HVAC equipment, we do a reasonable amount in that. However, you're going to find the customer must own the business property. Okay. Other than that, it's pretty standard list of equipment. We're very good on used equipment. You will find that there's probably not a type of used equipment we haven't seen before at this point. All right, this is our basic credit matrix. Now, one thing for me to remind everybody, like I said earlier, we are a house that will think out of the box. So there may be times where you're a little bit out of one of these metrics here, and you will find that we still may do the deal if we see overwhelming strength in other parts of the transaction. In terms of our basic rate chart, as discussed, we go from 8% for our top tier clients all the way to 29 yield for startup restaurants. But you will find that sometimes even with startup restaurants that we will do some transactions well below that. For example, pizza ovens, we've identified as a piece of collateral we have very few repossessions on. So we'll do pizza ovens down to 15 yield for a startup restaurant. So again, the collateral, we're an unusual house in that the collateral is important, the credit is important, but we don't lean on either discipline. Some houses, they're totally about the credit. Some houses are totally about the collateral. Again, we're very much a general player that is comfortable in either space. All right, the documentation process. Like I mentioned earlier, we are unusual in how we do it. We request the final invoice. We actually include the invoice as your Schedule A on our documents. So your customer does have full, he does have full disclosure of what he's getting. That's important to us. Number two, you send in the invoice with the doc request. The doc request actually shows up on your approval, which I'll show you later. And you'll actually do your doc request on your computer online. You can do it on your phone even. All right. The documents then are sent to the customer. They're sent by the DocuSign system by email. And then he will be challenged with an authentication process that he has to go through. And then at that point, when they come back to us with the completed e-signatures, we go into funding. And you'll find that the moment it hits our shop here, it's done pretty fast in terms of your funding. This is a sample of what an approval with us looks like. And you're going to find it's extremely comprehensive. It covers everything you need. It actually has everything you need to complete out, not only quoting, but also even gives you a tutorial on how to do things. For example, at the bottom of every approval, you have all your links, how to remove any contingencies that are on your approval, how to request documents are on there, how to understand the document request process. It even has a link to the current rates. So if you don't have your credit package, don't worry, you can complete everything out all in one step. This is what a document checklist online looks like with us. You literally have to just enter a couple basic items. We do ask you tell us how many transactions have you worked with this vendor before on. We do ask what the total cost is, how many points you want on it. We do have to have the email address of the customer. And one thing, we do have our own internal processes that verify that email address. So you will find that if it goes to somebody else, you may get us coming back saying, hey, wait a minute, that email belongs to somebody else. So we do watch that. You have the ability to drag and drop any files you need to corroborate your information on your checklist. You can drop those right there. Once you've clicked everything completed on your checklist, it automatically gets pushed over into the document request mode here. Okay, this is a little bit on our new business program. Again, this is one of the more popular programs here at 4-Hour Funding. And you will see, just like I talked prior, you can get a 15 yield for CNC machine tools for startups, pizza ovens, wood chippers, stump grinders, x-ray equipment. We love licensed tradesmen, plumbers, electricians. If they've got their union card or if they've got their license in that particular state, it's important to send that through. That will mean a lot in your approval. You can see we have another set of tiers for woodworking equipment, construction equipment, yellow iron, etc. You'll see work trucks can still get a very good rate for a new business at 21 yield. And then you have your more standardized equipment that tends to go at still at rates I would consider cheaper than most of our competitors for new business. Our 72 months financing program, again, we have a process there. We do require that your equipment is at least within 5 years old if it's going to go 72 months. All right, here's our application only 100,000 to 200,000. You're going to find that 6 years in business is what we're looking for. We're looking for at least near average credit score. Average credit score in the United States right now is about 710. So 690, you still can have a below average credit score and get transactions done from 100 to 200K. We are interested in that you have installment history on your credit bureau at that point. We are looking for a pay net. We don't necessarily need comparable balances on the pay net, but we need to see that you had some pay net history for the larger transactions. Owning business real estate. This is one of the things that I think every broker should always ask their customer. Do you own your business real estate? With us, if you do, you will find we dig really deep. We have a number of interesting factors. One of the things I'll tell you about us that's unusual is that we will pull a lot of data from a lot of different places, a lot of non-standard data. When we work one of your customers, we will know everything about them. We will know if they have family members working there. Do they own the business property? We will know, did they just buy a car? We have a list of about probably 15 or 20 different things we'll look at. If they have those become push factors for us. If your transaction might have been turned down, but we see they own their building, all of a sudden you notice we get much more aggressive. Sometimes we have brokers come to us and say, man, you gave me a really good rate on this deal, but I didn't think this guy was better than the guy I sent you last time. And they don't realize that we actually found a lot of these factors, and as a result, we gave that person a better rate. We do have a title vehicle program. We have same-day titling quote on all deals. This is a new process we just started this month. It's worked very well. If your vendor can do the titling, I will say this, we're probably the easiest to do a title deal if your vendor can do the titling. If they can't, like I said, we have a brand new process online right now, which works extremely fast. But if your vendor can do titling, we don't even usually ask for a power of attorney at that point. So it's a very easy process. All right, if your vendor can't do titling, we do have a complete titling process in order to handle that. We also have a great monthly bonus program for our brokers. If you're doing over $125,000 a month with us, which is not very hard to do, you can get a 1% total bonus. So when you average our rates in there, you also have to average in these bonuses that you get because they can be quite substantial. Over $200,000, you can get 2% of your total monthly fundings. All right, other than that, we will be you will see us at the 2023 AACFB conference in Orlando coming up here in September. And I want to alert everybody to the various representatives that you will see at all these events, whether it's a regional event or the annual events. We have a very experienced group of broker representatives. Kennedy Gilbertson, he handles our West Coast. Alan Justman handles the central part of the U.S. And then Laney Kobe does our eastern part of the U.S. And then Thomas Mills, he works special situations. Other than that, we're ready for the Q&A. And
okay, we have quite a few questions already. And just as a reminder, anyone who wants to ask a question, put that in the Q&A box and we'll get it answered for you. First question, regarding 50 location franchises, do you want the applicant to have 50 locations or the franchise chain to have at least 50 locations?
No, yeah, that would be really nice. He would be approved instantly if he already had 50 locations. We're actually interested in the franchisor. The way we kind of work franchise transactions are, we first want to approve the franchisor. Is the franchisor strong enough? Does he have a good track record? So in that situation, yes, absolutely, we're talking about the franchisor.
Second question, they would like you to pull up the Hourglass QR code. And maybe just turn that up.
Let's go ahead and do that again. And I got to share here. Okay. All right, and by the way, on the Hourglass QR code, you do have to contact our IT department. You got to get approved by us, but you can download the program from the App Store or the Apple Store. And then at that point, our IT department will give you a corresponding code to take you live.
Great. What about corporate app only deal?
We do corp only transactions. I've had to explain our corp only process a lot over the years. And the easiest way for me to explain it is this. People always ask me, what is a corp only deal? And I always explain it this way. If the owner of the company was walking across the street, got run over by a bus, would the company be there 3 years later? So ask yourself, what are the conditions that would allow that to happen? Number one, he's probably got at least 30 employees. If he's got 30 employees, odds are they survive the business. I mean, the exit of the owner. If they have 30 employees, that means you have a pretty large payroll, and you got to have 6 figures to cover that payroll. And to get that many people, probably been in business at least 5 to 7 years. So there are your requirements. You got to be at least 5 to 7 years time in business. You better have at least 100 grand in the bank, running balances. Okay. So, and you better at least have roughly about 30 employees. And we have ways in which we can tell how many employees you have.
Okay. Corp only deal is for a marina that needs a new van for 63K. I guess, is that something you would look at?
Well, I just gave you the criteria. If it's a marina, how many people do you have? Does the business survive? See, the difference with corp only transactions are we don't have losses. We just have somebody say we're closing the business. We don't have standard losses like we normally do. We have companies just call us up and say on a corp only deal, hey, we're closing the business, come pick up your equipment. Obviously, and usually things like that are usually caused by a death or something like that. And we do, if it's a very small marina, the answer would be no, we would not help you. If it's a larger marina and they have a lot of employees, they have very good bank balances, have been around for a long time, yeah, possibly.
Okay. Are licensed HVAC companies considered tradesmen?
Yes. Yes, if they have their license for it. Actually, we've had a pretty good record for HVAC people over the years.
Would you consider a corp only deal with no PG?
Yes, we do consider corp only transactions all the time. In fact, we even go one step further. We do a fair amount of nonprofits at times. So it's not always certain that we can do them, but they're a little more difficult. But yes, we do them.
Do you finance title vehicles in Louisiana?
Yes, we do.
Great. Did I understand you qualify 18-wheelers with good credit and stability?
Again, we're not interested in anybody who's at general logistics. If you go to the U.S. Department of Transportation's website, they have a thing called SaferSys. And anybody who is a trucker or involved in trucking, whether it's logistics or non-logistics, they do have to get a government license. If their government license says they are general freight, we're not interested.
What is the best way to generate vendor leads for your loan products?
Okay, this is a little more advice for brokers. I would say this, everybody always overlooks their own general area. And nowadays, everybody gets pounded by emails. Everybody gets pounded by calls. Everybody screens their calls, but people will talk to you if you just walk up to their physical location. And actually, like I said, this is my 40th year in the business. So I've been doing this quite a while. And I can tell you this, that's how I actually started. It worked 40 years ago. And for people I know who employ the same strategy, it works today. People love it when you walk in with a box of donuts for the salespeople and just want to say hello and tell them what you do. You'd be surprised what a box of donuts can do for people.
I remember Roseanne Wilson saying that was part of her strategy. I believe you mentioned that dump trucks hauling gravel are accepted. So is local dump trucking in general okay, including rock, sand, gravel, dirt?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's a tougher industry, as we know, but no, we do it all the time and we cover it. And, you know, let me say one thing too about Centra that's really unique. We all saw 2 years ago when there was a major disruption in the economy. You know, COVID hit. Was it 2 or 3 years ago? 3 years ago. Can't believe it. And understand this: during that time period, a lot of our other competitors, they actually shut down. They said, we're not honoring any approvals. We're closing our doors. We're going to close them until we figure out what went on. We were one of the few outfits that said, we'll take everybody's business, bring it on. And it turned out to be a great decision for us. That's been one of the hallmarks of our program, is that unlike a lot of people, we keep a very level hand on what we buy. We continually buy at the same level. We don't get overly tight. You never find we get overly loose. We find that nice medium and we stick to it.
Okay. Do you offer lines of credit for good qualified borrowers?
No, I'll be honest with you. We have some products in development right now. I might make a few people mad if I mention them right now. But we do have a couple of products that may have that in the future, but for right now, we'll just kind of keep a lid on that.
Okay. Is it okay to submit a deal directly with the rep via email, or must it be done only through the online portal?
Only the online portal. By email, things get missed. There's times when, like in our system, we have, there's certain things we're required to have. When we have people send it over email, our processors start working a transaction, they see something's missing, they have to call up. It gets very inefficient. And you also have to realize we're not, I'd say we're at least a mid-sized player right now. Let's put it this way. We process probably over around 2,000 applications this month.
Is pro forma invoice sufficient to get docs out and pre-funding done? Sometimes vendors won't provide final invoice until after funded.
We understand the few cases. The only times we see this type of activity where a vendor won't give it is a really, really large company. In that case, we do okay it. However, you'd be surprised. We have a very good handle on how big your vendor is. We have systems that can actually tell us how many email accounts are on are existing on the vendor's in the vendor's web system and their email system. So we have a pretty good idea how big your vendor is and their sophistication and if they can do it. If they can't, call us up, work through your broker rep, and we'll work around a lot of those issues.
Okay. I know tow trucks are not accepted, but curious as to why and if that sector may be under consideration for acceptance.
Let's put it this way. After 40 years, I've done enough tow truck deals. I know how they perform. And the other thing is tow truck company owners are maybe the toughest group of owners out there. Let's put it this way. When they don't pay, good luck finding your collateral.
You need Dog the Bounty Hunter?
Yes.
Can clients obtain loans under 100,000 with no collateral?
No, we still are an outfit right now that requires there at least to be some equipment underlying the loan.
Okay. Will there be a link to watch this recorded Zoom again? The answer is yes. We put all of our Meet the Funders on the AACFB website under the education tab and also on our YouTube channel. Next question, will you finance school equipment?
We don't do municipal or federal government transactions, but if it's a private school, yes, we do.
Okay. Can you validate a new to Centra vendor while decisioning the borrower?
Yes, we have a complete vendor validation department. You can set it in there ahead of time and they will review it. Again, they do a very good job of reviewing transactions. We do this to keep everybody out of trouble. I can't tell you how many times we've had people at first say, gee, can't you work with this vendor? And then at a later date, they say, you know what? You were right about that vendor. We had trouble with them. We probably do as deep a dive into looking at vendors as we do customers. We do believe the vendor is maybe about 30% of the success of the transaction.
Okay. Regarding restricted states, Arkansas, Florida, Massachusetts, Nebraska, New York seem to be extremely restricted, especially for new businesses. Why? A
lot of those states, Florida has a usury rate. We do all EFAs, so it's standard finance contract, and I think the usury rate in Florida is 18. So if you go above 18 yield, believe it or not, you can be having a statutory usury type situation. For example, some states like Massachusetts, they have the same thing. And actually, I believe it's above 20 in Massachusetts. It may actually be I think it becomes usurious, and I think above 25, it's actually a felony. So there are certain states that have decided they want to protect the customer. And in the process, they've lost the ability for finance companies like us to even service the customer.
Do you work with both for-profit and not-for-profit?
We work with both. Actually, we have some very good ways of working with nonprofits, and people find out that we're actually very good at reviewing nonprofit transactions.
Okay. Paul just wants to say special thanks to Kennedy Gilbertson and all your great help on transactions. And John, thank you for sharing your industry experience and nuances on your 4-hour programs. And he's going out to buy some donuts now.
Okay, good to hear from you, Paul.
Specifically Florida, it's home state. I think that's back to like, why not Florida? And I think you've answered that.
Yeah, we do a lot of deals in Florida still, but unfortunately, like I said, sometimes politicians think they can tell the market what an appropriate rate is, and it tends not to work out real well when politicians try to tell us how much return we need to cover risk. And obviously, startups who can have 20-30% loss rates, obviously, it's very hard to fit them in under 18 yield in Florida. So, and that has to include your points, by the way. So when we work a Florida transaction, in our system, we actually have to be able to approve them for at least a 12% yield to the broker so that he has enough room to put his points and stay under 18.
Gillian wants to know how to request a 4-hour funding broker kit.
Okay. You can go to 4hourfunding.com and it's the number 4hourfunding.com. And you go right on there, and there'll be a process right there for you to sign up. And it goes right into our office here and gets started immediately. It'll actually send you a broker agreement and everything else right off the bat, too.
Awesome. Tracy wants to know if landscaping equipment and vehicles are eligible.
Oh, yeah. We like landscaping business. That's a really good business for us. I mean, I probably should mention what our favorite industries are. That's a lot of times lenders don't like to say that. I do, because if I like them, I should disseminate it and let you guys bring it on. We love auto repair. We love machinery. We love construction. We love landscaping guys. We love tree trimming guys. We love plumbers. We love all that stuff. That's actually you're going to find those are the areas that you tend to see us lean a little more into.
Great. It looks like that's all of our questions.
All right.
Well, I just want to say a big thank you to all our participation here, and especially for our funding, our gold sponsor. And thanks again to you, John, for all the informative information.
Thank you, Monica.
Invite everybody to come visit with 4-hour funding in person at the Commercial Financing Expo. That will be September 20th and 21st in Orlando, Florida.
All right. And everybody, please get on 4hourfunding.com. If you're not signed up, you'll find you won't regret it. We really appreciate the time you allowed us to tell a little bit about our shop. We're really proud of it. This is our 15th year in business, and we've grown quite a bit over the days. And like I said, I think people, when I always tell people, the best thing you can do with your funder is hop on a jet and go visit them. And I'd love anybody out there, we would love to receive you down here. We'd show you a little bit of Dallas, but more importantly, you get to meet everybody here in the office. We very much are open to that.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Everybody. Take care.
Bye.